Daniel Knapp with the Christian Apologetics Ministry. This is the first and introductory video in a series on the book The Shack, which is written by William P. Young. He wrote it as a gift for his children, but was later urged to publish it by his friends. There has been no real advertising done for the book except for word of mouth and a single inexpensive webpage. Also, no publisher decided to pick it up, so it's actually self-published. With all this being true, it has still become a New York Times bestseller, selling over 1 million copies, primarily to the Christian world. It's a fiction story about a guy named Mac who lost his daughter in a very brutal way. God eventually calls Mac back to the shack where they found his daughter's dress, an old beat-up shack in the middle of nowhere. It is in and around the shack that most of the story takes place. There, all three persons of the Trinity show up, reveal themselves to Mac, and start him on the road to healing. My opinion of the book is that it's a well-written book, good detail, interesting plot. It's easy to relate to the main character and get drawn into the story. But there are, unfortunately, many great errors in the book. Some are actually straight-up heresy. Things like the Trinity or how someone is saved. Other issues about how the Bible is treated. Also Young's view of sovereignty. It's much like my impression of the Da Vinci Code. Well written, enthralling and fun to read, but has many errors. Since the book is a combination of good story mixed with such bad theology, it is hard for me to actually recommend this book to anyone. And if they do read it, I ask they have a very discerning eye. It's like the proverbial poison. You only need a few drops to actually kill someone. And if you put all this poison in a large enough meal, the person will feel satisfied eating the food, but will die anyways. Even though much of the book is not bad per se, there is sufficient and strong enough poison to cause major problems. Also, the book is being touted as an attempt to change a person's view of God. It's not acting as a mere fiction story, and is actually endorsed by Eugene Peterson, saying it can change a generation, much like how the Pilgrim's Progress did. If this book was actually just a shallow, feel-good story, then I would not warrant this response. But it's more than that. It's attempting to get you to think differently about God. Also, it has direct theological statements in it. And the presentation of these theological statements have implications, and should then be scrutinized biblically. So I feel that this response is not out of place, and although the story is of fictional nature, it is not immune to criticism. Some kind of review has to be done for a book trying to change people's minds about God and is being touted as the next big thing in Christendom. So before I go on with the rest of the critique, I'd like to ask a question. Most of the Christian world has seemed to pick up this book and like it. Things also like Your Best Life Now and The Shack are shallow or heretical books, and Christians turn to this for encouragement. Why is it that a believer, supposedly regenerated by the Holy Spirit and commanded to renew their minds, to love Christ with all of their minds, find it so hard to find peace and edification that comes from true, strong Christian doctrine? Why must we, as church people, turn to these other unbiblical means to be spiritual? Are the truths of the Bible about Christ, His life, death, and resurrection insufficient for us? So I ask again, why is The Shack so popular? Why is it selling so well? And why is there such a broad base of undiscernment on these issues? Why is the Christian church not edified by true Christian doctrine? I ask you to keep these things in mind as you watch the rest of my critique of this book. This is the first video, an introductory video, I'm doing on The Shack. Please keep a lookout for the rest of my videos, and I'll continue discussing the book. I'm Dan Knapp with the Christian Apologetics Ministry. Thanks for watching and have a great day. God bless.